Part 112. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1142. With such a big body like the destroyer standing near the battlefield, no one could ignore it. Although this planet-like metal sphere did not launch any attacks, Shin Kamigawa's side felt very uneasy. For this reason, some new Kamigawa generals found space, which was expanding the void gap, and asked him what the destroyer was. Space stared at the image of the destroyer and began to search for similar existences in the database of the Great Clock. As a result, there were no results dating back to the time when the Great Clock was established. Just when the space was about to give up, similar information records were finally found in the database of the Big Clock, which was special information provided by the Angel civilization. It was during the physical war 20,000 years ago, when the angelic civilization had not yet completed its complete unification. The four kings of Merlot heaven stood side by side, and the angels of each legion were on guard against each other. At that time, the Angel Nebula encountered an invasion by an unknown virus, and a large number of planetary systems were infected by the virus. The special civilization that came after this virus was in existence with planet-level combat celestial bodies. They involuntarily burned and purified the survivors together with the infected planets at their feet. The cruel means of doing things are shocking even if you hear them. In the end, the Heavenly Sword King of Merlot Heaven led the angel army to pay heavy casualties and destroyed the fighting celestial body that came after the virus. Since then, no fighting celestial body has appeared in the known civilization of the universe, so the data is discontinued here. But this information reminded space of something. The Big Clock began to unblock the hidden Kamigawa database and found a message record. The Kamigawa civilization was once the overlord of the known universe. Although his rule was not as well known as the Order of Justice, every once in a while the Kamigawa civilization would take action to punish some disobedient civilizations. In order to maintain the purity of the known universe, he expelled the animal civilizations that were different from his own within his sphere of influence. In a certain inconspicuous record, the space found a description of another unknown civilization from the Divine River civilization. They come from another starry sky and come only to pursue disasters. In order to kill disasters at the earliest stage, they will not hesitate to destroy everything. They are highly intelligent civilizations like us. Planets are their battleships and machines are their carriers. They come for purification and leave for purification. This is a simple evaluation of the civilization by scholars who study the civilization. Later, there was a record of a major conflict between the civilization and the Kamigawa civilization. The results were omitted from the records. Space knows that the Kamigawa civilization at that time certainly did not occupy. What a bargain. Space told Shin Kamigawa the information that the destroyer was a planet-level combat object, but the effect was the same as saying nothing. In this short period of time, the destroyer moved, and the top part of her body began to open, like a blooming flower, but the speed was very slow. In the middle of the unfolded part is a towering thing like a cannon barrel composed of countless silver criss-crossing structures. The whole thing is filled with the unique metallic silver-gray cold style of purifier technology, and blue energy is constantly flowing between its gaps. The visible part alone is enough to make people admire the magnificence of this creation. But the new Kamigawa people don't think so. The towering structure that resembles a cannon barrel is like a giant sword pressed against their throats, and the endlessly flowing huge energy is like a huge stone pressing on their hearts. It's not like they haven't seen supergiant creatures before. Whether it's the will of the void or the giant god of the void, they are both existences that can destroy a continent and destroy stars. But they are different from the destroyers. As pure technological creations, they can often cause damage tens of millions of times greater than themselves with a small size. The destroyer obviously also falls into this category, and has already begun to show his fangs. Just as the king of Kamigawa hesitated to give up the advantage he had gained and retreated to the void universe, a powerful wave of void energy quickly approached. The king of Kamigawa immediately became vigilant, and the void light gun in his hand quickly appeared, staring at a space as if there was danger there. The golden glow gathered and turned into ice flowers. She had just wanted to approach the king of Kamigawa to give him a good start, but she didn't expect that the other party was so vigilant and noticed her approach. With this armor, it seems that you, like the previous angel, have a high status among angels. The king of Kamigawa said firmly that as for the possibility of the king of angels, he denied it because a civilization cannot have two kings. Moreover, the temperament and style of the previous one were more in line with the identity of the king of angels, and the female angel who suddenly appeared in front of her, although her aura was strong, was more like a kind of self-confidence accumulated from countless victories. King of Kamigawa, if I had encountered you and your civilization tens of thousands of years ago, I am afraid that the angel civilization would not have developed to the scale it is today. But it is a pity that today's known universe is no longer the known universe that you dominated at the beginning, and no civilization welcomes your return. Hyoka did not respond to the king of Kamigawa's words, but stated the cause and effect of this battle and expressed his uncompromising attitude. You and I are not children. Do we still need to explain this kind of thing? As long as I am powerful enough, I believe they will be happy to accept Kamigawa's rule again. The king of Kamigawa began to radiate void energy to the surroundings to create an environment that was favorable to him. Unlike facing Kesha, he smelled the same kind of smell from Binghua's body, which was the breath of a conqueror. Binghua raised her eyebrows and didn't care about the king of Kamigawa's behavior, because the current environment with void energy was also her home field. After a simple exchange and collision, the king of Kamigawa understood that the other party was coming for him. Since everyone was in a hurry, he stopped talking nonsense and chose to get started. Without the void ball in reserve, the king of Kamigawa chose the most unpretentious attack. He transformed into a purple energy glow and rushed towards the ice flower with the void light gun, like a rolling wave. Seeing this, Binghua had no intention of retreating. He stretched out his hand and drew the king's sword from the void to kill 7. The flame bombing algorithm was imported, and the blazing energy turned into a sharp blade and began to expand. The void engine modifies the concept of the expanding energy blade and gives it the property of devouring energy. It eliminates the collateral damage that lacks damage to void energy, such as explosive high temperature. It can be said to be an alternative solidification energy technology. Seeing what Binghua had done and the several meter-long energy giant sword in his hand, the king of Kamigawa already had a bad premonition. Sure enough, the next moment, as Binghua swept the giant sword in his hand, the king of Kamigawa found that a part of his body was suddenly missing, and it was difficult to even put it back together. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1143. As for the light spear thrust by the king of Kamigawa, Binghua did not dodge and allowed it to pierce through his body. The energy giant sword transformed from the king's sword in his hand slashed out again. After the two sides left several wounds on each other's bodies, the king of Kamigawa couldn't bear it anymore and took the initiative to retreat and distance himself from Binghua. Hyoka did not pursue him because several penetrating wounds on his body needed to be repaired by the secondary biological engine. At the same time, the energy properties of the king of Kamigawa needed to be further analyzed. When analyzing the energy properties of the king of Kamigawa, Binghua was also creating corresponding devouring energy for this energy. This was the tactical system that Binghua came up with after obtaining the void engine. Analyze, understand, counterattack, destroy, eliminate. This is the tactical idea that Binghua adheres to now. It is very similar to the tactics she used in the past. However, the void engine greatly shortens the process, reducing the process of Binghua making corresponding weapons. You only need to modify the concept to get what you want. Want something? The king of Kamigawa regrouped his body and stared at Binghua warily, especially the wounds that were quickly repaired on Binghua's body. Combined with the battle data previously uploaded by Kesha, Binghua completed the analysis of the energy of King Kamigawa, and used the void engine to create an energy structure to counter devour. The originally solidified energy blade began to dissipate, revealing the gorgeous silver sword body of the 7 kills inside, and then a layer of blue-purple fluorescence turned to cover it. Seeing that the king of Kamigawa did not attack, Binghua took the initiative to launch an attack. Thunder and lightning surrounded him, like a thunderbolt, and came to the front of the king of Kamigawa at a speed that made people unable to react. Facing the 7-killing sword that thrust forward with blue-purple fluorescence, the king of Kamigawa found that he couldn't hate it and wanted to stay away from it. But as a warrior, the king of Kamigawa forcibly suppressed this feeling, brandished his light gun and started fighting with Hyuka. Purple light guns and blue-violet lightsabers collided frequently in the cosmic sky. Occasionally, the energy of the king of Kamigawa transformed into mist and hit Hyuka with a sword at the lowest cost. The ice flower will also be atomized with divine power, and then reassemble on the side or back of the king of Kamigawa. The king's sword in his hand is like an assassin's dagger, attacking from unexpected places. If it weren't for the fact that the king of Kamigawa was an energy being, he would have been killed by Binghua's sword long ago, as long as the energy that made up his body was not lower than a certain level and he could maintain peak fighting ability. As time went by, the more the king of Kamigawa fought with Hyuka, the more frightened he became. The height in front of him was less than his own neck, and his body could be called a petite female angel. Her level of hand-to-hand combat was unusually high. Moreover, the weapon in his hand is also very evil. The light gun that he condensed and solidified feels like it will collapse every time it collides with it. After hundreds of rounds of fighting, Hyuka signaled the end with a sharp strike that cut through the light gun in the hand of the king of Kamigawa. After closing the distance and connecting to the weapon's arsenal, the projection sword flew out from the opened wormhole. Then, with the sword as the main body, the energy was shaped into the same image as Binghua. The void engine starts, the target energy clone redefines its energy properties. As Binghua used concept modification and substance definition, the energy in her body began to be consumed rapidly, and soon the star energy source on the Titan's hand armor began to replenish the consumed energy. The purple glow on the 8 clones condensed with the projection sword as the main body disappeared in a flash, as if there was no change. But the king of Kamigawa felt the same feeling from those clones as from Hyuhua's weapon, which set off alarm bells in his heart. Binghua pointed his sword at the king of Kamigawa, and the 8 clones around him turned into streams of light and rushed out at the same time. Faced with the energy clones of the same shape as Badao and Binghua that rushed over, the king of Kamigawa chose the most conservative response method. Dozens of void light spears condensed out, forming a forest of spears to shoot at the charging energy clones, and their distribution was just right. 2 of Ice Flower's energy clones had their dodge space blocked by the void light spear. In addition, the clones controlled by Samilo could not compare with the original body, so they were penetrated through their bodies and turned into a ball of blazing energy that swept around them. A void. This made the king of Kamigawa even more unwilling to tangle with these clones, and only planned to use long-range attacks to solve and detonate them. As a celestial-level computer, Samilo can be said to be inflexible in thinking, but if you want it to suffer losses twice in a row at the same place, unless you have the ability to counteract its powerful computing power, it is obvious that the king of Kamigawa does not exist. The energy clones are scattered as birds and beasts and are approaching the king of Kamigawa from all directions. In this regard, the king of Kamigawa can only constantly transfer to block the positions of the energy clones to prevent himself from being surrounded. What Binghua was doing at this moment was, of course, adding special energy to his special weapon Silver Feather that could devour the energy-formed body of the king of Kamigawa. In previous battles, Binghua had discovered that the king of Kamigawa had extremely strong control over the energy that made up his body. Except for the part that was directly devoured by her, the rest could be reassembled after leaving his body. It was simply just like the divine body. Therefore, Binghua used the trick of energy clone to delay time and temporarily energized his silver feathers to kill the opponent completely later. As for why we don't use powerful and wide-area weapons like the Destruction Star Blade, Neutron Blade, and Titan's Grip to suppress people with force, this is because although we can suppress the opponent with these methods, it is extremely difficult to kill them. After spending some time, the king of Kamigawa finally dealt with the annoying energy clones released by Binghua. For this reason, he was also embarrassed by the self-destructing clones. After all, those energy clones were enhanced by Binghua. At this time, Binghua also completed energizing thousands of his silver feathers, and they were swimming flexibly around Binghua like a school of fish. Seeing this, the king of Kamigawa wanted to vomit. Are all the top leaders of your angels carved from the same mold? They all like weapon manipulation. Hyoka would not give the king of Kamigawa any time to breathe. Determined to kill him to avenge Kesha, she did not even intend to give him a chance to surrender. As Binghua approached at an extremely fast speed, the swimming silver feathers also spread out. They were not large but more dangerous than Kesha's silver blade. Soon the king of Kamigawa was blocked by the scattered silver feathers, and at the same time the ice flower behind him also approached. Faced with such a dangerous situation, he had no other choice but to fight hard. Just like Kesha's previous analysis of the king of Kamigawa, the king of Kamigawa and his subordinates are the kind of existence that rely on their own powerful energy and characteristics to suppress their opponents. When they lose this advantage, they face various means. The winning rate of the war gods in the known universe is not high. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1144. The silver feathers flying in all directions drew intertwined silver arcs. The king of Kamigawa was dodging the strangulation of these little things with great difficulty, and only stretched his body when he couldn't avoid it, but this was all in vain. After Binghua drove the king of Kamigawa into the strangulation circle formed by Yin-Yu, he stopped and took over Yin-Yu's control. With the support of Hyowa's Dark Plane computer and Samilo's computing power, Silver Feather's attack route was continuously optimized over time, leaving no chance for the king of Kamigawa to escape. The king of Kamigawa seemed to be trapped in a shrinking birdcage, feeling that the space for him to dodge was getting smaller and smaller. Those palm-sized flying blades kept cutting his body, annihilating the part of his body that was separated from his main body. This was a very scary thing for the king of Kamigawa. In the past, in the Void Universe, when the king of Kamigawa fought with his enemies, the competition was more often about the two sides' ability to manipulate void energy and whether he was strong enough. Now in this duel with Hyoka, the king of Kamigawa is simply unable to adapt to the combat mode of the known universe with frequent tactics. Not only is his hands tied, but he also feels frustrated that he has nowhere to use his power. But despite this, the king of Kamigawa still dared not ignore the little things swimming around him. What was scary was not these flying blades, but the annoying energy attached to them. Seeing that Yin-Yu could not tear the king of Kamigawa into pieces in a short time, Binghua decided to increase the difficulty. The Shenshen chain, which Binghua had placed deep in the weapons arsenal for a long time and had not been used for a long time, was once again displayed to its user at this moment. Play their own role. Silver chains shot out from the opened wormholes one after another, and with the blessing of sub-biological energy, they stabbed at the king of Kamigawa like spears. Their density was so dense that there was no room for the opponent to dodge or maneuver. The most disgusting thing is that silver feathers also join in the fun. They shuttle through the gaps in the Shenshen chain and continue to attack the king of Kamigawa. Without any surprise, the king of Kamigawa failed to avoid any attacks. The god-binding chains were wrapped around his body, and the silver feathers penetrated his body like bullets. In the next moment, the divine chains extending from the wormhole in space suddenly straightened, tightly binding the king of Kamigawa in the void and unable to move. The pulling force from all directions made it impossible for him to gather the strength to break free. The most terrifying thing is that these chains are absorbing his energy. The king of Kamigawa really wants to turn into disembodied mist energy to get rid of the bonds, but he gave up the idea after trying it. Because after the king of Kamigawa turned his body into mist, the energy absorbed by the Shen chain increased several times faster. In this way, even if he successfully broke free from the bondage, he would still fall into a period of energy weakness. Looking at the king of Kamigawa who couldn't move, Binghua raised his hand to open the wormhole and poked out a T alloy war spear. The next moment, a blue-purple glow ignited on the war spear like a flame. The king of Kamigawa also looked up at the burning light gun at this moment, knowing that when the light gun penetrated him, it would be his death. Because that blue-purple glow seems to be able to devour void energy and return the solidified void energy to its original state, it can be said to be the natural enemy of the Kamigawa people with void bodies. After Binghua shaped the energy into a gun shape, he raised his finger and pressed forward, and the energy light gun suddenly shot out, directly penetrating the body of the king of Kamigawa and coming out through the back. The king of Kamigawa's body that was restrained by the divine lock trembled and then relaxed, and then his body quickly burned like ignited Chi-Xian. The blue-purple flame burned violently and evaporated the body of the king of Kamigawa. The king of Kamigawa just stared at Binghua, as if he wanted to engrave it in his heart. He did not beg for mercy, nor did he roar in anger. It was burned away by the flames. Facing the god-killing battle of the Holy Winged Battle Angel, and defeating the Holy Kesha, the king of Kamigawa's glorious record finally came to an end at the hands of Hyuka. If the king of Kamigawa can survive this war, he is destined to become the overlord of the known universe, and Kamigawa seems to have hope of regaining his former status. But all the ambitions and expectations finally fell sadly under the sharp sword of cruel reality, and were eventually submerged in the vast river of history. Binghua watched the king of Kamigawa disappear completely, recovered his weapons, turned around and flew towards the main battlefield without any regrets. The fall of the king of Kamigawa was soon known to the new Kamigawa civilization, which caused some confusion in the Kamigawa fleet that was still resisting the angel counterattack. The king of Kamigawa has ruled them for thousands of years and is the strongest man of the new Kamigawa civilization. Now he died inexplicably in the known universe. The emergence of the destroyer already gave Shin Kamigawa a huge sense of crisis, and his determination to enter the known universe was no longer so strong. The fall of the king of Kamigawa was the last straw that broke the camel's back. They began to feel that the known universe was too dangerous and the void universe was safer. Without the strongest man to rule, the king of Kamigawa, the Kamigawa generals were divided on whether to retreat back to the void universe. The consequences of this were disastrous. The new Kamigawa civilization fleet, which was originally formed as a whole, began to fight independently. The retreating Kamigawa mothership and the Kamigawa mothership that wanted to counterattack to avenge the king had different purposes, and their routes also conflicted. Commander Kamigawa, who was appointed by the king of Kamigawa as the commander of the fleet, has begun to lose control of the arrogant soldiers under his command, because thousands of years have not been enough for these beings who were once conquered by the king of Kamigawa to serve as new gods. He gave everything he had. So while the angels were dumbfounded, a serious collision occurred in the new Kamigawa fleet. But soon the angels became excited and the enemies fell into chaos. Isn't this the best time to defeat them or even annihilate them? The chaos on the new Kamigawa side was affected by the fall of the king of Kamigawa. The command system of the Kamigawa civilization has been semi-paralyzed, so they lost the best chance to prevent Destroyer 064 from deploying the stasis energy generator. Before the chaotic new Kamigawa fleet could retreat to the vicinity of the Gap of the Void, the deployed Destroyer 064 decisively activated the stasis energy generator. Thick streams of purifying energy flowed toward the core of the supergiant stasis energy generator along the energy supply guide line. After receiving a steady stream of energy, the conversion system of the stasis energy generator began to work, and the blue translucent energy began to converge along the crisscrossing pathways toward the frontmost transmitting device. The supergiant stasis energy wave cannon has been charged. The target is the gap in the void. Please fire at friendly forces on the track to avoid it quickly. The cold voice of Destroyer 064 continued to echo in the public communication channel as a final warning. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1145. While issuing the warning, the destroyer's star-like body was also slowly rotating, and the stasis energy generator launch port located above its body began to adjust its angle to aim in the direction of the void gap. The angels who were originally chasing the retreating Kamigawa fleet stopped their pursuit at this time and began to gradually retreat. Because the supergiant stasis energy generator has a wide range of influence, it is easy to be affected if they do not retreat to a safe distance. Binghua's figure gathers on a raised platform on the surface of Destroyer 064's body near the launcher. She will witness the power of the super weapon developed and manufactured by the Justice World and the Makra World. After a routine countdown, the supergiant stasis energy generator and the launcher aimed at the void gap suddenly lit up with a dazzling glow, and then an extremely wide-ranging energy wave spread in the direction of the void gap. This energy wave does not have as powerful a damaging effect as ordinary energy attacks, whether it is the retreating Kamigawa battleship or the Kamigawa Void Warrior who turned into a glow and escaped. They were not harmed in any way, but at the same time they were horrified to find that everything around them was being solidified. Flowing energy, burning flames, floating metal debris, escaping void warriors, and even the Kamigawa mothership about to explode, their movements are getting slower and slower. In the end, they were completely frozen at this moment in the horrified eyes of the Kamigawa warriors. The Kamigawa fleet, which wants to avenge the king, will always stay at the moment when it rushes to the angel defense line. The Kamigawa fleet, which wants to retreat to the void universe, faces the void gap across the sky, obviously close at hand but never able to touch it. The stasis energy wave launched by the stasis energy generator covers more than that. After engulfing the Kamigawa fleet, it continues to move forward. Space, who was expanding the gap in the void, saw this and wanted to retreat to the void universe, but was blocked by the king's personal guards. If the king hasn't come back, you don't want to go there. Facing the unreasonable obstruction by the king's personal guards, Space has no time to argue with them now, because the stasis energy wave has spread over. In order to open the space-time rift connecting the void universe in the future, Space finally chose to leave the void and turned into a stream of light to escape in the direction away from the void. Immediately, the stagnant energy wave covered the gap in the void, and the gap in the void, which was surging and spitting out void energy, began to gradually stop transmitting energy. The ominous purple glow that kept flickering has completely settled down, turning into a frozen wonder of the starry sky. Before Destroyer 064 stops the stagnant energy wave, this space will remain the same forever. The few Kamigawa Void Warriors who were lucky enough not to be covered by the stasis energy wave completely lost their will to fight when they saw this scene. Such a massive attack, as if time and space were frozen, completely destroyed their will to resist. Before the king of Kamigawa controlled New Kamigawa, it was a world where the strong respected them, so there was no point in surrendering to an existence that they were unable to defeat. Nothing to hesitate about. The angel warriors of the angel civilization smiled at each other and bid farewell to the end of this bitter battle. The coalition forces fell into a crazy celebration. This battle caused a lot of blood for the grassroots soldiers. A purple stream of light shuttled forward at great speed in the cosmic domain near the void gap, heading towards the endless deep space of the universe. Space lamented in his heart the failure of Kamigawa's return to the known universe, and felt a little sad for the students and gods under his command who failed to escape. The plan that was thought to be successful was destroyed by the angels, and the hope of restoring the Kamigawa civilization to its former glory was personally extinguished by the angel king Binghua. The endless trump cards of the Angel civilization made it difficult for space to start, and the emergence of the destroyer gave space more speculation. The most unacceptable thing for him was that the Angel civilization was ahead of the Kamigawa civilization. In the past, space could rely on its own knowledge that surpassed the mainstream civilization of the known universe, and looked at everything that happened in the known universe with a detached eye. But now, whether it is the sudden appearance of the destroyer, the celestial-level time-space jumping device, the super weapon that can freeze time and space, or the means used by Binghua to control the void and easily tamper with concepts. This all shows that Kamigawa's technological and conceptual advantages are no longer there, and the Angel civilization is already ahead of Kamigawa's civilization, which has accumulated over 100,000 years. This fact makes space feel fearful and even despairing, because Kamigawa is now the only one left, while Angel is a collection of civilizations, which means that it is impossible for him to catch up with the technological advantages of Angel civilization. Just as space was thinking about this, a golden glow suddenly passed by him. The next moment, space felt like he had hit a planet, and he subconsciously exited the energy state. Why? You are thinking of escaping when your plan fails. Those Kamigawa warriors who came from the void to resist until the end are more courageous than you, an old man who claims to revive the Kamigawa civilization. A cold female voice with a strong sense of sarcasm came into Space's mind. He was very familiar with this voice, but he didn't want to hear it at this time. The golden glow converged into the shape of Binghua in front of the space. The dark eyes glowed with light purple fluorescence, showing Binghua's noble temperament as the king of angels. Have nothing to say? That's right, your so-called embrace of the void seems to have failed. Now you can't even go back to the void universe, but I have to say that void energy is very useful. I like the gift you gave me very much. Binghua stretched out his hand and a purple glow appeared in his palm, shaping it into various shapes, as docile as a puppy, which made space feel a little incredible. He understood through Kamigawa's void warriors that Ice Flower could mobilize void energy, so he believed that the angels had mastered some kind of algorithmic technology that drives void energy. But now when he saw the pure void energy in Binghua's hand with his own eyes, Kong Kong knew that he had made a mistake, because this was simply not something that the algorithm that drove void energy could do. The void energy with this characteristic is obviously the void energy that has been reconverted and deployed by the void engine, so the shadow of his student Carl appears in Space's mind. Originally, I really wanted to see you remorseful. After all, countless angel warriors died in this battle because of your plan. Among them are some of my subordinates who have followed me for tens of thousands of years, and some who are as close to me as sisters. But after meeting you, I found that there was only one thought in my mind, and that was to kill you. After Binghua finished speaking, he reached out and grasped the handle of the king's sword protruding from the void and pulled it out. The next moment, the blue-purple energy used to kill the king of Kamigawa reappeared and clung to the sword body. As a being with the same void body as the king of Kamigawa, Space naturally felt the fatal threat coming from the Ice Flower sword. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1146. There are not many surprises in the process of killing in space. Even if a scholar knows a lot, after losing the advantage of technological crushing, the only thing he can do in front of Binghua is to kill him at his neck. In this empty star field without the interference of the void gap, the big clock behind the space is offset by the computing power of Samilo and the treasure house of sacred knowledge. Without the huge computing power support of the big clock and the home field advantage of void energy, the combat power in space can be used to clean up the miscellaneous soldiers, but against the presence of combat specialists at the same level, it is really just a meal. Binghua's approach was very simple. He rushed over to interfere with space's concept modification, and then swung his sword down, cutting space in half. The energy-generating properties of the void body have no effect in front of Binghua. The blue-purple energy on the Wang sword is like burning flames, and the body in space is the best fuel. Space cursed Binghua, scolded Binghua, and was burned away bit by the energy flames. It dissipated into this universe with its unwillingness and obsession to revive Kamigawa. After the Battle of the Gap of the Void, Merlot Heavenly Court and the World of Justice began to deal with the aftermath of the battle, and all the beast civilization infected by the void energy was wiped out. All the research institutes and data left behind by Liang were sealed, and others were destroyed on the spot to prevent dangerous research on the void from leaking out. In addition to the above, Merlot Heavenly Court is also actively planning the reincarnation work, because the number of angels who fell in this battle is not a small number. When Merlot Heaven was reincarnating angels, a small number of angels gave up reincarnation. They felt that they had lived too long and that Merlot Heaven no longer needed their power, so they chose to enter eternal sleep. In this regard, Binghua respects their choice. Their dark information will not be destroyed, but will be permanently sealed. No one will disturb them again until the day they are needed. Kesha's remaining sacred atoms were successfully recovered, and with the assistance of He-11, the lost sacred atoms were replenished and she was able to reassemble her body. After reuniting, Kesha did not agree to take over the defense of the Styx galaxy, no matter how Binghua persuaded her. In Kesha's own words, "I have served the angelic civilization for more than 20,000 years, and now it is time to rest. And can you bear the thought of me falling again?" Facing Kesha's words of refusal, Binghua had nothing to say. This war in the void gap was indeed a blessing to Kesha. Although there will be no real death, no one likes to face life and death frequently. After many angels experience that feeling once, they don't want to experience it a second time. Among the angels who died this time, some angels became afraid of the period of time when they turned into dark data after reincarnation. Some serious cases even developed resistance to participating in combat, and could only regretfully choose to retire and spend the rest of their lives within the Angel Nebula. Because of this incident, Binghua specially set up a new department, which was used to persuade angels who had been reincarnated many times to choose to retire. Binghua didn't want the angels to have mental problems because they were unafraid of death, so he planned to force those angels with signs of mental problems to retire. While it was busy dealing with the fallen angels, the Justice World was not idle either. The Makra World sent a technical team to collect actual combat data on the supergiant stasis energy generator. If all goes well, Justice World will mass-produce supergiant generators based on this prototype. After all, the more super weapons the better. At the same time, after collecting the data, Makra World is preparing to build a permanent stasis energy generator near the Gap of the Void to replace Destroyer 064. After all, it would be too wasteful if a mobile super weapon was limited to one place. The problem with the Gap of the Void was solved, and Merlot Heavenly Court and the World of Justice began to focus on the modeled Blue Empire in the Edge star field. Binghua didn't have any good feelings for the civilization that had been trying to take a bite out of the known universe, but the current Fortress World defense line built by the Justice World was firmly blocking them there, so there was no need to worry for the time being. There are 3 reasons why Binghua is planning to attack the known universe. The first reason is that during this period, the various civilizations in the known universe have fully proved to her how stupid they are. As long as they are in Binghua, they believe that the known universe will never have peace. This short period of peace is just a prelude before the next war, so they must be integrated. Only under the same will can they develop properly instead of thinking about how to plunder every day. The second reason is the new round of competition for hegemony of the cosmic order caused by the Liang civilization. Originally, after the collapse of the just order of Merlot Heaven, there was no longer any idea of reorganizing the order of the universe. If Liang could show his strength and sense of responsibility at this time, Merlot Heaven would gradually shrink its external influence. Such a handover of the cosmic order could go through smoothly, but what did the Liang Heavenly Order headed by Liang do? They initiated research into the void universe without authorization, and after causing a lot of trouble, they also evaded responsibility, and finally let the angel civilization wipe their butts for them. The third reason is that in order to stabilize the situation in the known universe, the just world has invested no less than 100 worlds of manpower and material resources. It includes several original worlds, as well as the Angel Legion, the highest force of the Justice world, as well as the Expedition and the Fleet of God. Finally, even the super weapons of the Justice world were sent to the known universe for assistance. Although Merlot Heavenly Court has confirmed that it will join the major alliance of Justice world, to be honest, this alone will not bring enough benefits to Justice world. Because the angel population of Merlot Heaven is too small, although they are powerful enough, this is always a flaw. The vast scope of justice and order controlled by the Merlot Heavenly Court in the past has been shattered by the raging impact of the Tiangong group, and has existed in name only. Therefore, Binghua's act of unifying the known universe has everyone in the world of justice approving of it. Of course, it is impossible for the just world to directly send troops to knock down civilizations in the known universe that are unwilling to join the just world. That would be contrary to the original intention of establishing the just world. But whether it is Binghua or the high-level officials of the justice world, they are not pedantic guys who follow the rules, so the first step to unify the known universe is to strike hard at the civilization that once took advantage of the conflict between the Merlot Heavenly Court and the Tiangong group. Binghua wants all civilizations to know that those who dare to step on Merlot Heavenly Court when it is weak have not caused you any trouble before, but they are temporarily unable to deal with you. But now the angel's hands are free, and he also has a finger tiger, but whatever he eats, I will spit it out with profit. Those who dare to refuse will attack the Skyblade fleet there. Let's touch it first. There is only one chapter today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1147. Merlot Heavenly Court's big move naturally frightened some civilizations into silence, and they all prayed in their hearts that they would not be found. At the same time, they quickly stationed themselves in certain pre-nuclear and post-nuclear civilization troops withdrew. But the angel civilization issued a slogan of liquidation. How could it not take action? The angels of the Merlot Heavenly Court used their previous methods of judging demons and quickly carried the heavenly blades to various civilizations. The dark information was swept away, leaving no trace of any conspiracy, and all participants were arrested and their charges stated before those civilized others, in a display of angelic justice. Even if this justice is only for the angel civilization, as a super-divine civilization, angels are willing to reason with you, which is already considered kind. How can they dare to ask for more? As for those civilized armies and fleets, they dare not move at all under the threat of Skyblade's star-destroying strike. The few who plan to die together will be told by the angels' war god the truth of the universe. I protest. This is what bandits do. An old man wearing luxurious clothes was thrown out of the gate of the towering palace by an angel warrior by his collar, and fell to the ground in a state of disgrace. The square outside the palace had already been crowded with people. They looked at the scene in horror. The angel's behavior undoubtedly trampled on their civilized dignity. But whether it was the security personnel who looked like dead parents or the troops who acted as background and didn't even dare to raise their weapons, they all proved that the half-hidden sky blade in the sky was by no means a decoration. Under the watchful eyes of many people in the square, the angel warriors slipped out dozens of people from the palace. They were all of different ages, but they all had one thing in common, that is, they were the ruling class of the civilization. They have civilized leaders, behind-the-scenes shareholders of large corporate groups, and even members of ancient families that have lasted for thousands of years. But today, no matter how powerful they are, they cannot become their wings to protect them, because there are more powerful beings who ruthlessly tore their proud wings to pieces. Leng sat on the sculptured stone platform in front of the palace square, surrounded by several angel warriors acting as guards. Looking at the ugly appearance of these mortals, Leng couldn't help but feel disgust in his heart. That's enough. Do you think this is a court that allows you to quibble? This is a trial. If you don't want to die an ugly death, just admit your guilt. Leng's words stunned the Modo people who were begging for mercy, and then they begged for mercy louder and blamed each other. This made the onlookers Modo people look intolerable and humiliated. Angel Leng's face became even colder when he saw this, and he motioned with his eyes to the angels on the side to give them something cruel. The angel warrior, who was signaled by the angel's cold eyes, showed a pleasant smile, walked out of the queue and came to the Modo man who shouted the most happily, staring at his face with a white glow in his eyes. After a moment, the angel's expression changed, as if he had seen something disgusting, and he looked away. Sister Leng, you should ask other sisters to do this from now on. If that doesn't work, you can just borrow a few male angels from the First Angel Legion. It's really disgusting. While complaining, the female angel waved a projection light screen, and then sounds and images appeared in the projection light screen. The content posted in it is exactly the past experience of the middle-aged man who cried out loudest just now. Most of them are scenes of him taking advantage of his power to suppress and even unspoken rules for some of his subordinates. There is also collusion with some of the dark side of the Modo civilization, providing convenient conversation content, corruption, and taking kickbacks, which need not be explained one by one. When these apparently evil deeds flashed one after another in the projection, the expressions on the Modo people who were originally somewhat sympathetic to those who were arrested for resisting the angels immediately changed. Because in the past, they promoted that the reason why they led the Modo civilization to invade the pre-nuclear civilization was for the Modo people and the future of the Modo civilization. But as more and more things were revealed in the projection, the Modo people present understood that they were there for all Modo people, just to gain more benefits and rights for themselves, and to destroy the entire Modo civilization. As a bet. Of course, based on the above alone, these people will be reviled by the Modo people at most, but the next thing is about personal privacy. The angels present either watched with indifference or just watched it for fun, but for those who were exposed, this was all-round social death. In the end, the second in command of the Modo civilization cried bitterly and hugged the calf of the nearest angel warrior, shouting, "I am guilty. I am guilty, please judge me quickly." Angel Leng raised his hand to signal, and the flaming sword in the hand of the angel floating in the sky pointed downwards, and blazing energy flames spurted out. In the miserable wailing, the second in command of Modo civilization was finally freed from all-round social death. Seeing the tragic situation of their predecessors and the all-round experience of social death, the Modo people who were originally begging for mercy and crying for injustice immediately stopped talking. Angel Leng snorted when he saw this and said disdainfully, "If any of you has a clear conscience, I can still look up to you." Their charges were pronounced, and then they were all judged. Angel Leng's last words were extremely cold, making the Modo people present tremble in their hearts. Finally, the angel announced to the other Modos in the square the laws of justice and order that these people in the square had violated, and then carried out the judgment. In the blazing flames, most of the top leaders of the Modo civilization were reduced to ashes. The Modo people watching the trial had mixed feelings. The Modo civilization is an experienced aerospace-level civilization. During the conflict between the Tiangong group and the Just Order, seeing that the defender of the Just Order, the Angel civilization, was unable to escape from the Angel Nebula, they took the opportunity to send troops to swallow up the nearest nuclear front. The planetary system where civilization is located. Unexpectedly, in less than 10 years, the Tiangong group fell apart and was defeated by the Angel civilization. The Modo civilization was deeply afraid that the Angel civilization would settle the score in the future, so it withdrew its troops in advance. But later, The angel regent did not re-establish the order of justice, nor did he cause trouble to the Modo civilization, so gradually the Modo civilization thought that the matter was over. Although they invaded a civilization that joined the just order, they didn't go too far because they were there for expansion, not massacre. After a series of events that occurred in the known universe, the Modo civilization was not even qualified to participate. A series of major events such as the new king of angels ascending to the throne, the massive invasion of the Triangle civilization, the defeat of the fierce Sun civilization in the Styx, the proliferation of void creatures, and so on. The known universe is swinging on the edge of destruction at any time, and it all started after the collapse of the just order. It seemed as if something was broken and disasters struck. When the angel civilization gathered the god-making civilization of half of the known universe in the Styx galaxy, defeated the void civilization, and sealed the passage between the void universe and the main biological universe, all the civilizations that could only wait for the result breathed a sigh of relief, because of the situation finally it won't get any worse. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1148. But everything began to change as the new king of angels announced that Merlo Heaven would join an alliance called the Justice World. As early as when Tiangongming he was still alive, there were civilizations who were curious about where such a huge angel legion under the command of the Sky Sword King came from. Civilizations that are relatively close to the angel civilization soon know what the world of justice is like. Of course, the most important point is that the creator of the just world is the first holy left wing of the angel civilization, and is related to the angel civilization. This is also the reason why the just world does not encounter much rejection when it implements its own ideas in the known universe. Because the concept of a just world is born out of the just order to a certain extent, both sides have very similar moral concepts and clear claims for justice. However, compared to the looseness of the justice order, the civilizations of the justice world are more closely connected, and to a certain extent, they are even brothers who can help each other and compete with each other. Moreover, the aid regulations of the justice world are also the reasons that attract most civilizations to join, because in the known universe, there are several mountains above their heads, and some civilizations find it difficult to get ahead. In this case, it is better to find the thickest thigh to hold it, so that it may be possible to reach higher heights in the future, because except for some forbidden technologies, the world of justice will not impose technological blockade on its worlds. As for the Shenzhou in the Chiwa star system, as the first civilization in the known universe to join the world of justice, it is regarded as a model to show to other civilizations. Among them, the intergalactic space-time gate system and the supergiant jump gate device can be carried out, as well as various basic and theoretical assistance for the righteous world to assist the Chinese civilization. All of this makes the visiting civilizations extremely envious. You must know that the Chinese civilization was just a post-nuclear civilization that could not stand out in the universe more than 10 years ago. And now some of the technologies it possesses are extremely enviable even by the god-making civilization. The Modo civilization is just one of the many civilizations that have been liquidated. This level of punishment can only be regarded as a mild liquidation. Angels will not let some civilizations that go too far when the justice order is weak, angels will not let it go. The theory that Binghua believed in had always been an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, so the angels directly launched an all-round liquidation of those civilizations that had served the Tiangong. The first thing is to destroy their army, and then prune their top brass in turn, leaving the top brass who are more inclined to angels to maintain the basic stability of the civilization. After all, the angels are not here to commit genocide. Of course, the casualties caused can only be attributed to the civilization's own fault. When all these are completed, the just world will send invitations to these civilizations, asking them if they are willing to join the just world, and promising to provide technical and scientific assistance involving all walks of life. After being served with a big stick and sweetened dates, these civilizations join the world of justice with a wink. The civilizations that were waiting and watching were a little wary when they saw the Justice World's tough attitude and its continuous recruitment of subordinates. However, soon as more and more civilizations joined the Justice World, fewer and fewer civilizations chose to wait and see. Because the Justice World is fulfilling its promise and has begun to provide vigorous assistance to the newly joined worlds, of course, it is decided according to the order of joining. As soon as this condition came out, some civilizations that later joined the Just World beat their chests and regretted not joining the Just World earlier. Seeing that the expansion of angels' power has become unstoppable, some god-making civilizations have simply joined. For decades, the Justice World and the Merlot Heavenly Court were not busy fighting back against the mottled Blue Empire. Instead, they relied on various policies and intimidation to unify the civilizations of half of the known universe. The Liang civilization initially wanted to compete with the Just World for the support of civilization in the known universe, but the Liang Heavenly Way really had no appeal in front of the Just World. Seeing the situation and doing nothing, Liang did not expand any further. Although Pan Zhen put Liang's interests first in everything, he was not an idiot. The behemoth of the Justice World has an unstoppable momentum to annex the known universe. If the blazing sun stands in its way, it will only end up being shattered to pieces. In the end, Pan Zhen chose to completely delegate power, no longer interfere with Liang affairs, and handed over the power to determine the future of Liang civilization to Dilana, the orthodox king of Liang civilization. As the various civilizations that join the Justice World gradually become stronger, and as the super weapon giant stasis energy generator is mass-produced, the threat of mottled blue is getting lower and lower. At the same time, the civilization under the Just World of the known universe began to enter a stage of rapid development. A Just World is different from a Just Order that does not interfere with the normal development of civilization. A Just World can be said to be the other extreme. Civilizations that join the Just World will be forced to accept the laws and moral concepts of the Just World, and will crack down on some bad habits that violate the laws of the Just World. Then there is the rapid support and improvement of its civilized military so that it can have the strength to protect itself as soon as possible, and infrastructure construction is the second priority. The reason for this is that the cruel surrounding environment in the early days of the establishment of the Justice World made them unable to care about infrastructure construction and could only prioritize military aspects. Because a large number of civilizations in the known universe have joined the Justice World, and the transformation technology of the elite legions of the original Justice World has fallen behind, all civilizations in the known universe are supported to establish new super legions. As an alternative to the Elite Legion, the Super Legion combines the advantages of super soldiers and modified warriors. They no longer have the abnormal body shapes like the Elite Legion, but have perfect bodies that are more in line with the aesthetics of ordinary Kamigawa creatures. This is strongly requested by Sheng Hexi, the Minister of Scientific Research of the Just World. He believes that only in this way can it be in line with the pursuit of beauty in the Just World. But this has been met with objections from some primitive worlds. As the prototype of the elite army, they provide civilization. They believe that as long as they are strong enough, everything else must stand aside. Of course, this is just the different views of the upper echelons of the Justice World on the new type of military unit called the Super Legion, but in the eyes of the civilizations of the known universe, the formation of soldiers comparable to the third generation of super soldiers was something they had never dared to imagine before. This was something that only the angel civilization could do in the past. Unexpectedly, after joining the Justice World, in just a few decades, with the support of the Justice World, it had a three-generation super warrior army to defend its own civilization. Of course, these civilizations that have joined the Justice World themselves do not have the ability to cultivate super legions. All qualified personnel can only go to the God's throne world to receive reinforcement and transformation. The Super Legion is not without any flaws. Their only flaw is that the upper limit is locked. If you want to obtain combat power at the level of a war god, You need to carry out exclusive strengthening and data collection, and its resource consumption is comparable to a god-building project. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1149. Contrary to the flourishing civilization of the righteous world, the order of the Liang heavenly law is gradually withering away. At the beginning, Liang civilization also tried to learn the methods of the just world, loosen its control over the civilizations under Liang Tiandao, and provide certain technical assistance to improve the cohesion of the civilization under Liang Tiandao. But the result is better than nothing, but it is of no use at all. If the all-round assistance of the justice world is like a heavy flood, then the assistance of the Liang civilization is like a slow trickle. Over time, the Liang civilization itself couldn't bear it anymore, because this kind of unilateral bloodletting had not only produced some positive effects, but had the opposite effect. Because we are afraid of comparison in everything, it is easy to say that we did not provide assistance at the beginning. When Liang's assistance began, the civilization under Liang's Tiandao could not help but compare with the assistance from the righteous world. As a result, they not only disgusted Liang, but also themselves. In the end, they could only comfort themselves and relieve the envy in their hearts. Liang, on the other hand, found that no matter what he did, it was just useless, so he simply did nothing, which is commonly known as messing up. Under Liang's inaction, the civilizations around Liang Tiandao were quickly attracted by the just world and chose to join the just world. After completing the siege of the Liang Tiandao order, there is no need to elaborate on the fate of Liang Tiandao. At first, the affiliated civilizations under the Liang civilization were still trying to get by, but soon under the influence of the affiliated civilizations surrounded by the righteous world, everyone found that their little life was no longer pleasant. As the saying goes, there is no harm without comparison. After discovering that the poor beggar next door is now living in a new house and driving a new car, his life is becoming more and more prosperous. But my life was still as miserable as before, and these civilized people suddenly felt a little unbalanced. As the voices within some civilizations to join the just world became louder and louder, an affiliated civilization named Como under Liang finally could not resist the pressure and compromised with the civilized people, broke away from the order of Liang's heavenly Dao, and threw itself into the justice world. Embrace. The righteous world is naturally overjoyed at the arrival of the Liang affiliated civilization that has changed its banner and is willing to surrender. Recently, they are worrying about how to disrupt the order of heaven in Liang. Because the goddess of justice world has said that if the other party has not launched an attack on us, then we must not provoke trouble first. This greatly limits the plan of justice world to encroach on Liang heavenly Dao. Now that justice world's long-term investment in Liang Tiandao has paid off, how could the person in charge of justice world's plan to dismantle Liang Tiandao not be excited? Faced with the Liang affiliated civilizations that broke away from Liang heavenly way and wanted to join the just world, the person in charge welcomed them with both hands and claimed that as long as they join the just world, everyone would be half-brothers, and your business is my business. He immediately signed a franchise agreement with the civilization and sent the green light to Binghua. After reviewing it, Binghua decisively approved it. So before Liang civilization could react, a subordinate civilization under his command became a franchise world of justice world. Immediately, 10 super legions stationed on the edge of the Liang Tiandao forces, an Annihilation-class mothership equipped with a giant stasis energy generator and a supporting escort fleet entered the civilization's star field to provide protection. The actions of the justice world caused the civilizations under Liang Tiandao to enter a state of war preparation, thinking that the justice world could not help but take action. But it was soon discovered that the justice world had no further actions. After investigation, it was discovered that there was a civilization that broke away from the Liang heavenly way and joined the justice world. The just world is performing its duties normally, providing protection for the civilizations under its banner, and has not invaded the order of the Liang Heavenly Dao. Naturally, it was impossible for the Liang civilization to just let it go and contact the person in charge of the Divine River and Tiandao Galaxy in the world of justice for inquiry. The answer of the just world is very simple and means, everything about Komo's civilization is voluntary by the other party. You can't keep them, so do you plan to prevent them from finding another way out? If Liang intends to blatantly interfere in the internal affairs of other civilizations, then it will be necessary for the just world to have a good fight with Liang civilization. There was a hint of wanting to be beaten between the lines, and he almost said, Liang, if you have the ability, come and beat me. If you don't have the ability, just hide away and don't push me. It is very realistic and cruel. Although the world of justice will abide by the basic principles set at the beginning of its establishment, this does not mean that some people responsible for controlling various star fields will not exploit loopholes. The attitude of the Judgment Angel is to turn a blind eye to this. After all, if the punishment is too harsh, the people in charge of these galaxies will lose their subjective initiative. In the final analysis, as long as their behavior is to gain benefits for a just world, some slightly outrageous behavior can be forgiven. In the end, Liang did nothing about the Como civilization leaving Kamigawa and Tendo and switching to the world of justice, and he did not dare to fight them. Although he possesses enough power to destroy the Shenhe Tiandao galaxy, Liang does not dare to use this to threaten the righteous world. After all, the sphere of influence of the world of justice spans the known universe and the chaotic star sea, and the destruction of a large galaxy is not even a serious injury to its muscles and bones. It's different for the Liang civilization. The Shenhe Tiandao galaxy is his base camp. If it disappears, there will be nothing. Didn't you see that the Dino civilization has been wandering in the universe for more than 10,000 years, and there is no news of its re-establishment there? Now that the known universe is controlled by the world of justice, the difficulties that the Dino civilization must solve if it wants to rebuild Dino are hundreds of times greater than before. It is said that the power of role models is infinite. With the precedent of the Como civilization that left the heavenly way of Liang and switched to the world of justice, the minds of other civilizations affiliated with Liang have also become active. As the master civilization of Liang Tiandao, Liang civilization naturally discovered this phenomenon, and the civil servants of Liang civilization were very worried about it. Your Majesty, Liang Tiandao's heart is agitated right now. Please come forward to comfort him. Dilana, wearing a gorgeous dress embroidered with the Liang totem, was leaning on the pillars of the pavilion in the Liang palace, throwing stones boldly and teasing the fish in the pond. I have said this many times, you should give up the idea of strengthening Liang Tiandao as soon as possible. I think it would be better to just disband Liang Tiandao, so that the remaining half of Liang Star would be destroyed that day. By then, we Liang people will really be homeless. Dilana said indifferently. Seeing that her Lord God was so unwilling to make progress, Minister Liang who came to give advice showed a heartbroken look. Why, do you want to say what General Pan Zhen taught me next? Dilana turned her head with a faint fire in her eyes, staring at Minister Liang, whose body was trembling slightly due to nervousness, and said, I am not Pan Zhen. I will play so-called political games with you. Letting you do what you want is the greatest tolerance for you. If you push your limits, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1150. Dilana's words are tantamount to an ultimatum. In fact, Godlana is really capable of killing Minister Liang. Although Dilana had just taken over the military and political power of Liang from Pan Zhen for more than 100 years, as Liang's most cutting-edge technological creation, no one in the entire Liang civilization could disobey her wishes. As early as decades ago, she saw that the expansion of the world of justice could no longer be stopped. This was not because of Dylan's foresight, but simply the balance of power. If Liang Tiandao spends all his wealth, he can also gather 5 or 6 third-generation main gods, as well as a dozen second-level battle gods, and numerous first-generation gods and super warrior troops. But this is when all the civilizations under Liang Tiandao work together, because the above lineup requires several god-making civilizations under Liang Tiandao to put together. But the number of third-generation gods and second-generation gods of the angel civilization far exceeds the lineup that Liang civilization can produce, let alone the third-generation and second-generation super warriors. Nowadays, the angelic civilization that was once regarded as almost invincible by Liang Tiandao has joined an alliance called the Justice World. At first Liang thought it was just another order of justice, but then the expansion of the world of justice in the known universe allowed Liang to see what a true super civilization alliance was. After some nuclear wars, the aerospace-level civilization completed a leap in civilization level in just a few decades after joining the Justice World Alliance. The most important thing was to establish a super legion of 1,000 with the support of the Justice World. There are only 10,000 pseudo-third-generation super soldiers in 10 civilizations. Thousands of years ago, 10,000 third-generation super soldiers were able to run rampant in the known universe. When the Como civilization fell into the arms of the Justice World, and the Justice World transferred its super legions from 10 worlds to be stationed in the Como civilization, Liang immediately gave up the idea of interfering with the Como civilization's withdrawal from the Liang heavenly way. Because there are only 10,000 third-generation super warriors in the entire Liang civilization, and most of them are distributed in various command positions of the Liang army. In fact, it was not just the Liang civilization that was frightened. Kesha and Hexi from the Merlot heaven were also shocked when they really came into contact with the family background of the Justice World and some relatively mature technologies. Among them, the most incredible thing for Marrow Heavenly Court is the strengthening technology of the Super Legion. Its difficulty and investment are ridiculously low compared to the real third-generation super soldiers. But this kind of technology, combined with the mechanical engineering inherited from Semiolo by the Justice World, can produce soldiers who can fight against 3 generations of super soldiers. Different from the known universe, the Righteous World's view of the God-making project is more like using unlimited resources to invest in manufacturing technology to verify prototypes. Therefore, the Justice World is not enthusiastic about the God-making project. Therefore, the Justice World does not have super-standard combat units except various legions and weapon prototypes. Angels can be regarded as an exception to all joint civilizations in the Just World, because even in all the directly governed worlds in the Just World, it is difficult for any civilization to choose to prioritize the development of individual combat capabilities. When troops were sent to help the known universe, the Justice World also had a large expeditionary force that was at war with an entity called the United Empire. After hundreds of years of collision, the Justice World has also collected a lot of information about the United Empire, and is very keen on a technology it has mastered. That is the cosmic shuttle technology across dimensional latitudes, but the United Empire's confidentiality level for this technology is too high. Even if dark information reading technology is used, the Righteous World only knows that this technology exists. In addition, the world of justice has been sending expedition fleets to explore beyond the Chaos Star Sea, as well as the purification fleets and destroyers under Semilo's command that have been allowed to scatter. It can be said that the strength of the Justice World has unknowingly far exceeded that of the Merlot heaven in the known universe, and it continues to increase at an incredible speed. The vast sphere of influence and abundant deployable resources allow Justice World to continuously conduct technical verification research, trial and error, and finally spread these cutting-edge technologies. After overcoming the technical problems of mass production of the third generation of super soldiers, Binghua and the technological world in the world of justice began to focus on how to mass produce the god of war. After all, Although the cultivation of a war god consumes a lot of resources, the combat power that a war god can exert is so good that the Ministry of Military Affairs of the Just World cannot help but be tempted. In addition, Binghua has been engaged in research on the collective genetic enhancement of the Justice World, so this topic was quickly passed and sufficient resource budget was obtained. In the past few decades, the angels who died in the Battle of the Gap of the Void have basically been resurrected through the reincarnation system and restored to their original strength. All the basic conditions for the conquest of the modeled Blue Empire have been completed. Now the only problem is to solve the unexpected factor of Liang Tiandao. However, according to the latest progress in the Kamigawa Tiandao galaxy, the deadline for solving this problem is not far away. The Gap of the Void, the space channel from the Void universe to the main biological universe, is now firmly blocked by the surrounding supergiant stasis energy generator. Before the Void civilization has no means to break through the stasis energy field, there will be no problems in the Gap of the Void. Even if something goes wrong, the righteous world today is not worried. After Binghua's personal use, the Void engine has proven to be an extremely reliable auxiliary tool and weapon. Therefore, under Carl's collaborative research, a portable micromechanical Void engine was developed, which has the effect of allowing the user to greatly avoid or resist energy damage from the Void and other types of energy. Angels have also begun to generally install sub-biological engines and learn special algorithms developed to destabilize Void energy, which can be regarded as a wave of training against the Void. At the same time, the Just World began to plan to develop black holes to obtain extremely precious black hole materials. After all, the high-level Void engine function is too good for scientific researchers. Therefore, the scientific research worlds in the Justice World have requested from the Divine Throne World to allocate them Void matter or Void engines to assist in research. The process of developing black holes has been done by the Super Seminary more than 10,000 years ago, so there is no problem, but it takes a long time to prepare. Carl, who was in angel prison, proposed his own method, which was to mobilize a large number of stars to explode the black hole to get what he wanted, but was rejected because it was too dangerous and had a very wide range of effects. Carl actually achieved his wish to a certain extent, because he successfully promoted Void technology in the Just World, and also made the scientific researchers of the Just World remember him. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 1151. As for Carl's cellmate, Liang Bing, he also saw the follow-up of his research. Large-scale time-space displacement and transfer technology, although it was realized with the help of super-large equipment, could be regarded as witnessing the fruition of his unfinished research. Liang Tiandao, after the blow from the separation of Como civilization, this order has lost its last remaining bit of deterrence. Liang's inaction almost made it clear that he no longer had the ability to restrain the civilization under Liang's Tiandao banner. Therefore, even the Thunder Blade controlled by Liang, the Gulansi people also had some thoughts. They were thinking about whether they could regain their independence and get rid of the fate of being controlled by Liang's civilization if they surrendered to the world of justice. But before the Thunder Blade could wait, the Gulansi people put their ideas into action. The civilizations on the periphery of the Liang heavenly order seemed to have discussed it, and began to announce their separation from the Liang heavenly way one after another. The Just World naturally accepts them all. Although the behavior of these civilizations is disgusting, the Just World needs these civilizations to continue to destroy the integrity of the Liang heavenly way. As time went by, the worlds under Liang Tiandao rushed to join the world of justice. Liang's civilization worked hard to try to restore this situation. However, the civilizations affiliated with Liang who have clearly seen the reality of Liang Tiandao are no longer afraid of Liang's subsequent revenge. Liang's control range in the Shenhe Tiandao galaxy has begun to decrease rapidly. After seeing that he could not even maintain the status quo, Liang finally let go of his reserve before Liang Heavenly Dao completely disintegrated, and took the initiative to contact the Justice World to maintain the integrity of Liang civilization in the form of Liang Heavenly Dao merging into Justice World. Of course, this condition will not be accepted by the Just World. If you want to become a member of the Just World, you must fulfill your responsibilities and obligations as a member of the Just World. Liang's technical data must be backed up and entered into the database of the Just World, and the direct jurisdiction of Liang civilization is limited to the Tiandao Liang galaxy. As for the Thunder Blade controlled by Liang civilization, the Gulans must be cut off from Liang's existing sphere of influence, and Liang Heavenly Dao must also be disintegrated. It can be said that there is no condition that normal civilization is willing to accept. After careful consideration, Liang civilization still agreed to these requirements of a Just World. Because Justice World took out the star drive technology optimized by the goddess, as well as some information on micromimetic star technology, the star drive technology that was regarded as a treasure by Liang instantly became unpalatable. After realizing that the skills they had mastered could not be used as bargaining chips, Liang's ministers quickly knelt down and began to persuade Liang King Lina. I am afraid that Dilina will lose her temper and start a war with the world of justice, and then the Liang civilization will definitely not be able to escape the fate of being destroyed. Dilina was also a little confused by Minister Liang's sudden change of attitude. Fortunately, she had no intention of letting Liang civilization suffer like this. After the disintegration of Liang Tiandao, Pan Zhen completely disappeared from the sight of Liang's upper echelons, and he didn't know where he was spending his old age. Dilina did not force it, and Liang finally joined the Justice World as a separate civilization, able to retain the uniqueness of its own culture and the independence of its army. Liang has therefore become one of the few civilized worlds in the world of justice to have this honor, which can be regarded as the special care of Liang's knowledge and interests in the world of justice. You must know that retaining the autonomy of the civilized world's military is a privilege that only the primitive world, angel civilization, and a few other civilizations have. Most civilizations that join the Justice World will carry out military rectification in accordance with the requirements of the Justice World and establish defense forces and super legions to facilitate military deployment by the Ministry of Military Affairs of the God's Throne World. Although this allowed the franchise world to quickly possess military power that could protect its own security, it also weakened the franchise world's control over the military in a disguised manner. The Liang Heavenly Way collapsed, and the three major anti-void god-making projects were all returned to the Just World. However, the Just World regarded the three major god-making projects more as technical reserves. Having solved the last unstable factor in the known universe, as Binghua launches his plan to conquer the modeled Blue Empire, the gears of war that the righteous world had long prepared began to turn. The first is that all super legions of the worlds in the known universe have been recruited to the Edge Star Field, and a total of hundreds of super legion warriors have assembled in the Fortress World. They are equipped with the latest model of demigod armor from the Justice World, as well as psychic field shielding jamming devices and heavy anti-biological blasters. This is a special blaster equipped with anti-organism ammunition launched by the Justice World after studying the structure of triangular organisms. After its ammunition is injected into the body of a triangular organism, it will explode and release a special corrosive energy, which will quickly corrode and destroy the body of the triangular organism. In addition to these special forces as sharp knives, millions of warships of various types are also gathering in the star field where the Fortress World is located, among which there are more than 50 Annihilation-class motherships equipped with stasis energy wave cannons. At the same time, Destroyer 064 also participated in this conquest of the Triangle. In addition to him, Samilo also mobilized a large number of purification fleets to serve as the vanguard. Because the war with the Triangle rarely involved fortifications and ground battles, the Apocalypse Mecha and other super heavy support units were left at the fortress defense line in case of emergencies. The purpose of this battle against the Justice World is to completely destroy the modeled Blue Empire. Therefore, outside the known universe, various worlds in the Justice World are also making preparations. If the forces in the known universe are not enough, the world of Justice will assemble an expeditionary force from the Chaos Star Sea to support the known universe. Binghua did not participate in this battle. In such a large-scale battle, Binghua's individual effect was not great, and the advantages gained on local battlefields were difficult to quickly radiate to the entire front. After the war began, the known space expeditionary force of the Justice World was overwhelming, and the Purification Fleet served as the vanguard to explore the Triangle Swarm and their sphere of influence. Subsequently, the Annihilation-class battleships in the Expeditionary Fleet directly used stasis energy wave cannons to greet the large group of triangles, and the triangle creatures scattered on various planets covered by the ocean did not escape their bad luck. The calamity fire that fell from the sky evaporated the oceans and penetrated the Earth, destroying all materials that could sustain life, leaving only a planet riddled with holes. The triangular creatures' mental attack capabilities and magnetic field manipulation are of no use in the face of the range advantage of the Justice World's superfleet, and they have become lambs to be slaughtered. The space shuttle ability possessed by a few high-level triangular warriors is of no use to the established Super Legion. The star field controlled by the modeled Blue Empire began to decrease rapidly, and the entire modeled Blue Empire felt that the disaster was coming. The known universe that was originally fighting back and forth with him didn't know what happened, but suddenly changed its style, like a gluttonous beast, opening its fangs and huge mouth to bite.